Hello and a very warm welcome to the brand new edition of Policy Watch. I'm Kriti Mishra. The Parliamentary Consultative Committee of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry held a meeting on new foreign trade policy. India's new foreign trade policy under formulation will come into effect from April 1st, 2021 for 5 years and will strive to make the country a leader in international trade. The District Export Hubs initiative will form an important component of the new FTP. The committee members were also informed that the Department of Commerce, through the regional authorities of Directorate General of Foreign Trade, has engaged with states and UTs to take forward this initiative in the districts and enable its implementation in a phased manner. In December 2020, a Board of Trade meeting was held where inputs from state governments and other stakeholders were received. And for deeper insights on the topic, I'm joined by Dr. Ram Upendra Das, Head, Centre for Regional Trade, and Mr. Rafiq Ahmed, Chairman, FICCI Foreign Trade and Trade Facilitation Committee. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, both of you. Dr. Das, coming to you first. The FTP 2015-20 came into effect on April 1st, 2015, and the same was extended by 1 year till March 31st, 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Your outlook on the new foreign trade policy of India and the significance of it?
Well, first of all, thank you. And this is a very important question, especially because this new foreign trade policy, which was extended up to 31st March 2021, will now have a phase beginning 1st April 2021 up to 2016, 31st March. So it will be 21-26 5-year policy. And the context of this policy, obviously because of the COVID, is different and is new. And therefore, the significance of this policy would be even more pronounced than the yesteryears of similar policies. Having said that, there are certain things which will be carried forward from the earlier policies. There is a lot of agenda which is still unfinished, and focus will be on that on the one hand. And the new context of COVID and the resilience of our economy, the recovery in the next few years, where the foreign trade policy can provide policy insights and policy actions to our entire economic growth paradigm and development, including employment generation, etc., is going to be something which the world will look at, what to say in terms of the domestic stakeholders looking at it. And this will entail various facets. And as I said, there will be many new facets that will be perhaps focused as the news reports suggest as of now.
So, you said that there is unfinished agenda. What is this agenda that you're talking about?
Well, if you look at this unfinished agenda of making our manufacturing competitive, both in terms of price and quality in the international market, then the unfinished agenda is to provide the logistic support, the infrastructural support, the policy regime in terms of ease of doing business support. On all fronts, India has progressed in recent times. Everybody knows about that. But this agenda is unfinished, and therefore I would consider focus on these very aspects of logistics, ease of doing business, the soft infrastructure side, combined with improvements in hard infrastructure side as well, along with some of the recent development in terms of like the MEIS, the direct export subsidy scheme now not being there, but RODTEP scheme, which is remission of duty and taxes on exported products, coming into effect from 1st January 2021, will provide further boost to this unfinished agenda. But there is a long way ahead, and I'm sure that policymakers are mindful of that.
Absolutely, sir. And you made a very important point there, and let me take that to Mr. Ahmed. A key driver for India to achieve the $5 trillion mark would be boosting exports, both merchandise and services. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given a clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India, vocal for local, make in India and make for the world, which would mean increasing exports. Making for the world means that we become more export-oriented. How do we do that, sir?
See, unless we had to concentrate on manufacturing, and the manufacturing means we will be the manufacturing people for the whole world. That is what it used to be like the China, which is fast losing its market share in the world. We should capture that one and we should enhance that from what they were doing it in a better way. And there is that can only happen if our manufacturing capacity, industrial production increases. And see, Raj, what is today exports? Exports is being done by mostly from the MSME sector, and in the now new definition of MSME, I would say it is almost 70% of the exports come from the MSME sector. Unless we strengthen the manufacturing, our competitiveness will not be there. So that is why once you have the competitors in manufacturing, increase the capacities, employment comes in. And also, the export sector is mostly 60%, I may say, comes from semi-urban and rural area. That gives employment to the rural people. And a lot of women in the south, I can tell you, a lot of women are employed here in the export sector. And so I feel that what our Honorable Prime Minister has said, that increasing our manufacturing, not only for India, through the whole globe, we should be a supplier to the globe. That has to be made, and its policy should address that we should address how easy for us to manufacture, infrastructure, as my friend has said, infrastructure and ease of doing business. All this has to be addressed immediately, and that should make it easy for us to compete. See, the COVID has set big challenge to us. The manufacturing capacity stays the same. The market has shrunk, the world market has shrunk. So the competition has increased. The margins have come down, and how you were able to service the customer, how quickly you can reach to them, all this has become important for us. As an exporter, I can feel now the challenge is much bigger than I have seen in decades. And that, if the help of the government policy, we can able to challenge that all the countries like Vietnam, Bangladesh, even many countries in eastern part of Europe, all those things we can able to compete, and we are sure some support through the policy should come up and ease of doing business.
All right, so you're talking about enhancing our global competitiveness. And for that, perhaps District Exports Hubs initiative that we are talking about is of paramount importance. Dr. Das, it was informed to the members of Consultative Committee that a District Export Hubs initiative will form an important component of the new FTP. The plan will include the support required by the local industry in boosting their manufacturing and exports, with impetus on supporting the industry from the production stage to the exporting stage. What are the strategies to enhance logistics and infrastructure at the district level?
Look, this is a very important aspect of the new foreign trade policy. And as the Prime Minister has also emphasized, one district, one product. But we should also be adding at least one service in one district. And this is going to be a game changer in terms of one, that the imbalanced regional development within the country in terms of manufacturing and service and other economic activities can be addressed. Two, center and state, and what to talk of state, it is going to the district level. That kind of cooperative and competitive federalism would be providing the leeway to such an initiative. Third, already we know through geographical indications and many other areas of production and information that we have, that there are many districts in country where you have unique products and they have comparative advantages that have not been harnessed adequately enough hitherto. You can take the example of Northeast India, for that matter, or some of the other backward regions of various states, even states that are developed like Maharashtra and Gujarat, you will find areas where you give focus on one district, one product, or one district, one service, and you would find that new products and new services will come up and they get hooked to the global market. This provides opportunities for employment generation and perhaps one of the most potent ways of pulling people out of poverty through employment generation and marketing their niche products, which are essentially very Indian and local. So it will be a great boost to local manufacturing, traditional products, along with combining modern ways of doing export business across India. And therefore, I think the logistic chain, the hard infrastructure, which will take the products to the ports, all that will get galvanized because, it's a chicken and egg problem. Because this kind of activity was not happening and these products or districts were not linked to the global market, the logistics chain and hard infrastructure was also not getting developed. Once we start focusing on the activity, the supporting infrastructure, starts coming up. So you have to crack this vicious circle of what comes first. And therefore, the emphasis on district export hubs is going to be a game changer in terms of India's developmental narrative, what to talk of exports providing the engine of growth to India's GDP.
So you also made a very important point about marketing our niche products. Let me take that to Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed, how will the government ensure better utilization of the Market Access Initiative?
I think market access initiative is a very good initiative. And our products, we have a niche products in India. I think no other country has got it. And if we can develop it through the market access scheme and other schemes, we can able to go increase our share in the market globally. We can able to do it. See what for example, you can see how Bangladesh has developed as a least developed country, but they have developed in the garment industry, ready-made R&D, the huge market they have created for themselves. By pushing it on that, like that, we can able to push this one. And the initiative, what my friend has said now on the district level focusing, very, very important, very, very important. And I think that we will emerge, the new products will come up, even the existing product, let's say, for Tirupur for the ready-made garments. There is a Vellore district in the south for the leather and the shoes market. Agra, that rural down there in the UP, there are so many rural areas where there are good exportable products. If this initiative comes and state government's cooperation, definitely these are the additions to what we are exporting today. And then the world will see new products in the market. The initial market access scheme will be a very good thing, and we should encourage that. And also, I'm telling you, post-COVID, there will be a big competition. So the marketing initiative, whatever incentive necessary to put the people to go and market, has to be encouraged. That is WTO compatible with the WTO. Marketing spending, whatever you spend for marketing is allowed, and that should be pushed there. And even the e-marketing should come on the online sales should be encouraged. So this is a very good chance now post-COVID. We should emerge as one of the big competitors to the world.
You talked about WTO. Dr. Das talking about another important aspect. At India's 7th Trade Policy Review at the WTO, members took note of the programs put in place to promote foreign direct investment and local manufacturing and to further integrate Make in India, Digital India, Startup India, Skill India, and Self-Reliant India into global supply chains. They welcomed these initiatives, but also talked about the possible trade restrictions. What is the way ahead for India?
Yes, I'm glad that you asked this question. I also saw the reports. The global community misunderstanding what India is trying to do is very natural, because the global economy also is in a state of flux, especially because of the COVID, and before that, the entire episode of Brexit, and then the turmoil in US economy, the US-China trade war, and so on. So in this context, when Atmanirbhar Bharat or Make in India emphasis, vocal for local paradigm is advocated, it is very natural for the global community and those sitting in the WTO to get confused. But time again and again, our ministers, our prime minister, they have made it very clear that India is not going to adopt a paradigm which is of a closed economy. And therefore, we are actually focusing on domestic manufacturing, which will serve not only the domestic market, but also the global market. We want to become a manufacturing powerhouse, just as in pharma, we have achieved, considerable success, or in automobiles, along with the traditional sectors like textiles and clothing and gems and jewelry and leather, as Mr. Ahmed was also mentioning. So it is very easy to get confused in this kind of an emphasis. What is important is to also understand that India has to be mindful of trade deficit if
Yes.
the dependence is only on one country beyond a certain proportion. And therefore, certain trade restrictions, which are especially on consumer goods and not so much on raw materials, intermediates, and capital goods, is all right. I mean, that does not get generalized for India as a policy. We will import where it is necessary, and we will export where we are competitive.
All right, since we're talking about trade deficit, I'd like to talk about China. Mr. Ahmed, China's exports to India declined by 13% in the first 11 months last year, while Indian exports to China rose 16% in the same period. How do we further trim our imports from China?
See, China is still, I see myself, China as an opportunity for us to export. There's a huge demand in China, not only for the local products, but for the Indian goods also. We have seen that. The only thing what we have to work it out with China is because of the deficit which we have, maybe it's coming down, but still it's a big deficit, we should negotiate a good tariff with China. We have to fight for them to get a tariff reductions. We are able to, we definitely will enter into Chinese market. See, China is the second largest largest producer of footwear in the world. But we are able to, my company is able to sell to China the same shoes to China. We are able to compete in the Chinese market and able to do that. There is a possibility. But if the tariffs levels are being negotiated to some level, we will have a very huge market. I see China as an opportunity for us. Rather than China taking it to India market and everything, we can also get into there and then able to do that. China, we had to negotiate a little bit there for the deficit to come down, and we can able to increase our market share. Because China is giving up a lot of other industries. They are not competitive enough now. So we will be taking that. They may in return wants it to be consumed in China itself. I have seen this, many countries are be able to export it with a little bit of a negotiation with them. That we should keep negotiating with them. The tariff, China will be a big market for us.
Dr. Das, how do we beat China in global trade? How do we become an export hub for the world?
We should not be obsessed with just one country. There are political reasons, there are economic reasons. We should be trying to become a manufacturing hub, a hub of economic activities where we look at trade in goods, trade in services, foreign direct investment, technology, agricultural exports, all in an integrated manner. And when you try to do that, you would rise in economic stature domestically, and that will also augur well for your, statement at the global negotiations and global, arena. Now, how do you do that? Thus far in the discussion today, you would have realized more focus has been from the supply side.
Yes.
Now, it is very important for India to look at the demand side, which is different regions of the world, you require different strategies. So, for instance, the strategy you would require, say, in pharmaceutical products with respect to our medicines being exported with FDA, US FDA approval in North America, or medical devices policy, the issues with respect to European Union would be very different. There, the issue of non-tariff barriers actually becomes very important. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very important that while we are working to make India Atmanirbhar and trying to upgrade our competitiveness in terms of price and quality, we should also secure the markets. Markets do not, come to you automatically, and that is where trade agreements worldwide, including Latin America and Africa, West Europe, Eurasian region, North America, and other parts of the world, including South Asia, becomes imperative because trade agreements give you assurance in terms of tariff reduction and non-tariff barriers being addressed, assured market access of a type where if you are competitive, you can actually harness that. So the foreign trade policy of 21-2026 should focus both on the supply side improvements as well as securing markets, as many markets in the world in different regions and continents as possible. Blending the demand side and supply side responses would definitely make India an economic powerhouse and contribute to poverty alleviation and addressing developmental objectives of employment generation, quality of life, etc.
All right, since we're talking about making India a powerhouse, economic powerhouse, and before we end this conversation, closing comments from both my guests, India's economic and trade diplomacy ahead. Mr. Ahmed.
I think we need our strength of economic development, what we are doing. Once you economically develop into every country, the world will look into us to become there. And also we, our diplomacy, global diplomacy, we should improve, and we should not be afraid to open up the markets. We should have trade agreements where we had to negotiate. As my friend has said, the EU market, European Union, now that UK is outside the EU, British trade agreements can be brought in there. Huge market will reopen up in that market, like Latin America can open up. Africa is a huge market where we can able to do. We should not be, our diplomacy should always be towards going into the market share. We should get access to our different markets. And I think that way, it will be easy for us. That we, as a industry, we cannot able to do it. It is up to the government to work out the detail with the markets of the FTA. FTA should be allowed. We should open up. Definitely the European Union, definitely UK should come out and we to open up. Then you will see how big jump we will have it, because they have some advantage from Bangladesh, some advantage from Vietnam. They are enjoying it already. We don't have that tariff advantage. We must get the tariff advantage, and I feel a growth of 30 to 40% to this area will come automatically with the FTA, and that needs a good diplomacy in the our foreign trade, and diplomacy should include our trade as well.
Dr. Das, do you agree?
Well, I would like to agree with this, and I would also say that we should have a strategy in terms of neighborhood first. I think South Asian economic integration is very crucial. Then Central Asia and many of the African and Latin American countries as well, from where we actually fetch very critical raw materials which we do not possess for different sectors. And therefore, our engagements with those countries where we have not had a very strong trade and economic linkages should be our focus, along with, of course, North America, West Europe, UK, and so on.
Yes, on that note, thank you so much for joining us. And for the successful economic development of a country, vigorous foreign trade policy is of great importance, and all eyes are now on the new foreign trade policy. That's all we had for you in this edition of Policy Watch. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV.